Hello, welcome back to Death Stranding. This episode is going to be a little different because I wanted to take the time to go through some of the lore that I've been wanting to go through since pretty much this game started. So we have the computer here in the private room. It's full of mail and data, and I just wanted to take some time. I'm probably going to call this episode 20 and a half or 21 and a half because I am good at counting. And we'll get back to the story in the next one, but for now let's just dive into the world a little bit. So I've got all these heckin' emails, so I'm pretty much just going to start from the beginning. So I read all these were from ages ago, although apparently they were from the 10th of November. I'm assuming this is, yeah, it is US time. I'm struggling to remember everyone's names, but George Baton is sending me some likes. Oh, it's this guy. Oh, he's from the way station, yeah. Just explaining how good it is to get likes. I've been practicing going outside. Oh, I'm proud of him, because there was another guy bitching about how George isn't really that good of a way station boy. I wandered into mule territory. I panicked and dropped everything I was carrying. George, it happens to the best of us. Believe me. That little hiccup aside, I've put up some signs and watchtowers. George! Actually, I think we've run into a couple of George's things. Oxy and smart drugs might help to level me out, but I tell you, when someone hits you with that like, it's a feeling like no other. I'm doing something to my touchpad, and it's doing something to the email. Yeah, so, I mean, how good is getting likes? Am I right? Pretty good. Like the video. I like you. And then we've got one from Benjamin Hancock. The meaning of chirality. Dear Sam, sorry you had to go through the trouble of chasing down that part for us. Oh, this is a while ago. Distribution center west of Capital Knot. This was a while ago, yeah. So he's just thanking us for bringing him some stuff. Oh, funny news. The other day I was using the network to read up on the word chiral. It turns out it's Greek and it means hand. So a lot of the crystals we've been finding out in the world, the chiral crystals that the BTs leave by, they're like literally like shaped like a claw. So that must be how they decided to call them chiral. Well, your right hand is a mirror image of your left, but only if you put your palms together. And if you point them away and lay one hand on top of the other, well, that's chirality. Okay. Bet you didn't know that. Well, bet you didn't know that. I didn't know that. Well, there you go. So that's good old Ben. Victor, re-establishing shipping lanes. How's it going, Sam? We put Port Knot City on the map. Not bad. Smiley face. D. Before I forget, thank you for that stuff you bought, taking care of that BT. Oh, fantastic. Everyone over in Port Knot is doing well. I wouldn't take up any more of your time. That's all I had to say anyway. A couple of the guys wanted me to write you to make sure we knew you knew we had your back. Oh, that's cute. Come what may, we won't be throwing in the towel. Same goes for you, right? Absolutely. One from Jake. Wind at the wind farm. Our hard work is paying off. Hey, Jake. Somewhere powered by our wind farm? Hopefully, I think so. I mean, I don't know. I'm quite far away from the wind farm now. I only went there once because it was so difficult to get to. I just couldn't be bothered going back. Yay, now we can send power to all the big cities and beyond. I'm not 100% on the details, but transmitting it via the beach means we don't suffer any additional loss due to distances. Nice! Energy saving. We could all learn from Jake. William Lake from Lake Knot City. We all made rounds of the local preppers when I first arrived here with Bridges 1. There should be some interviews floating around that the records team transcribed. Take a look if you get the chance. I think that'll be in our data. So yeah, Lake Knot City hopefully are doing well because we fought a big whale there. Another one from William. You've got to go to the extra mile. Thanks, Sam. You really came through for us today. Yeah, I did save you from a big heckin' whale. The Bridges evaluation system will see you properly rewarded for providing that extra bit of service to make people happy. Likes. Next time you complete an order, take a closer look at your results. See if there isn't a symbol next to your likes which indicates you got them for performing optional extras. So, I mean, this kind of stuff we kind of figured out anyway. The Elder. Why join the UCA? Still out there fighting the good fight, kiddo. He didn't join the UCA, but he went on the network, yeah. He gets meds and supplies, no different from the deal I had with Fragile. While I may not have full use of this network, I can access the weather and stuff So what incentive is there to join the UCA? That is actually a question that we asked at the time. I was like, well, why would you want to join? But it's all part of feeling like a network, feeling like you're part of something bigger. And I feel like in an apocalypse type world such as this, that is the reason. I don't know if we get another like contact from the Elder. I keep sending the Elder the little bots. I keep sending them to the Elder, so hopefully he got those all right. Peter Engelert has a humble request for pizza. My dear Mr. Sam Bridges, it's an honor to make your acquaintance. My sister, bless her heart, has been feeling under the weather, and there's only one thing that might restore the colour to her cheeks. Pizza. We did bring him the pizza, so hope his sister enjoyed that. Oh, she's a ham lover. Please bear that in mind. Okay, with ham and mushroom, ham and pineapple. I wonder. Another one from Peter. I must applaud you on a job so exquisitely executed. The pizza in question arrived in impeccable condition. I apologise on behalf of my sister. She was asleep. As for myself, I was out and about attending private matters. Oh, I see. Well, hope you enjoyed the pizza. This next one's from the engineer. The commencement of Evo Devo unit testing. The engineer made us our very first robot legs, and he means a lot to me. He was a good guy. I've taken an interest in the Ordra deck lately. These people tend to associate them with BBs or think of them as BT detectors. That's my little claw on my shoulder. Ordra deck. They were originally designed as more all-purpose scanners for the detection of people and various objects. Seems they've undergone quite a few changes over the years. Of course, being like ridiculously helpful because we've got dooms, but they're not like the strongest of dooms, which I found out I think is linked to your birthday. So we do need that little Ordra, the Ordra Din to help us. That's another game I really want to play. Obra Din. The Craftsman. Mules. Heroes or villains? Definitely villains. Definitely villains. Hey Sam, how's that bola gun working out? Very well, actually. You can fabricate stuff pretty much anywhere. The bolas, of course, being really good because we don't want to kill people. We're not terrorists. We don't want to cause like tons of void outs. Now that we do actually have like proper weaponry, like shotguns, assault rifles and that, like I'm pretty much like playing this with a moral kind of standing of like I'm literally not killing people. So bola guns, they're the best. You can fabricate stuff pretty much anywhere. I might ask you to test them for me sometime. I tested them quite a lot. If you have to throw down, remember that mules used to be just like you. They were porters when the world went to hell. People trying to help people in all the chaos and confusion. Would have been hailed as heroes if they hadn't gone batshit. That's what most people think, me included. Anyway, Sam, I doled out a few of those hematic grenades that you brought me to some local porters, along with some blood bags. If they work as advertised, then our people might be able to stand up to BTs. Hell yeah. Alex Weatherstone from the weather station. William Lake from Lake Knot City. And Jake, was it Jake Wind? Yeah, Jake Wind from the wind farm. Do these people change their names because of where they work, or are they just born destined to work in the weather station, Mr. Weatherstone? You know, I'm not even technically part of the core staff. I'm medical. But your destiny, Alex, was to be a weatherman. I was posted here to keep an eye on our skeleton crew. This place was weather station in name alone, just collecting some meteorological data, but over a pathetically small area. Prior to the Stranding, they had countless weather satellites circling the whole planet, watching every move the clouds made. But the Cupid and the network have provided us with the next best thing. Now that we can collate data from all over, we can generate more comprehensive models, which give us a much better dance. Yeah, so this is for predicting the timefall, which is going to be, I guess, really helpful in the future. Timefall's never really been that much of an issue to us so far. Hey, there's Jake Wind again. Tell Amelie we are true believers. Still going west, we're rooting for you. Hell yeah. We were part of the second group, so we never got to speak with Amelie. I'm really hoping we do get to see her eventually. Tell her that we're all still believers of the cause and in her and her mother. Will do, my dude. William Lake again. Don't keep the others waiting. Hey, Sam, can't tell you how good it was to see you coming over the water on that boat. First time we've welcomed so much as a turd in, what, must be 2 years now? But Fragile has a big boat and she's just not used it for 2 years. Oh, cool. So he's happy to see us. Thomas Southerland, the bots are here, but is that for the best? I hope so. That bot you bought us? Brought us. It's a real piece of work. Takes everything into account. Good. I'm glad they're going well, Thomas. Bringing me my Timefall porter. I heard you were headed to the Timefall farm. Oh, I hope we did that order. Pity the bots won't be able to enjoy it with me, but hey, guess that's a privilege only humans can enjoy. I hope we did that one. That was a while ago. Chop chop, Sam. People get tired of waiting. I've got one piece of advice for you. Focus on speed. That's the most important thing when it comes to making deliveries. What, even if I fall on my face and destroy everything, as long as we get there quickly, it's fine, right? By the way, if you're already feeling confident about how quickly you can make deliveries, why not try your hand at setting a premium delivery record? All right, okay, so little extra things that I'm not really bothered about. Usually I am in these type of games. I want to do all the extra things, but with this, I'm kind of just like, it's so big and intimidating. Hey, I kind of just want to get the story done. Hey, my friend, the Elder. Rebuild the roads. I see them delivery bots are on the prowl again. That means the roads are getting better. Yes, cool. I'm glad that he is like appreciating that I sent like 3 bots to him. Oh yeah, the junk dealer, this guy. A pile of junk has accumulated near my shelter. It needs to be disposed of in Crater Lake. I actually remember seeing them. So that's like another little side quest we can go and do. I do remember seeing all that. It was just like a pile full of stuff to pick up and I was like, oh, I want to pick it up, but it was like such a big pile. Film director! We're used to packing to the theaters. I tried toying with that tablet you brought me. Oh, we broke it. We did like 48% damage to it or something. It was a very broken tablet. Suppose it could be useful, but the experience is ultimately lacking. This guy misses the cinema. It was a far cry from the golden age of film, from when the silver screen reigned supreme. I tell you, I was born a century too late. Aw, man. Victor Frank from Portnut started using utility pouches, Sam. You've been using the utility pouches? They make it real easy to carry an extra blood bag or two. And you ought to know better than anyone how much BTs hate that stuff. Yes, we do. I do have pouches and I have been putting stuff in them, I believe. Sometimes it just does it automatically. I'm not sure. Thomas again, take a dip in some hot springs. I think we found them as well. Some hot springs, a hop, skip, and a jump northeast of where the junk dealers hold up. Yeah, we did find them. The Crater Digestive Baths. What, like a digestive biscuit? Miraculous healing properties, apparently. Does wonders for a stressed BB. Normally BB doesn't like the water, but he likes it if it's warm water. We'll keep that in mind. Not one that's suffering from autotoxemia though, obviously. Anyway, you should give it a try sometime. Will do, Tom. Delivery for a prepper. I have a special delivery request for you. There's a prepper out there who's got a special talent. She's a heckin' cosplayer, and she can apparently dress herself up to look like damn near anyone and anything. This has got to be an Easter egg. There's no one better when it comes to designing and making clothes. This is, oh, hang on. We had an order to go to the cosplayer, but I ended up cancelling it. It was like, bring her some needle and thread or something. And I was like, I can't be bothered with this. I think we cancelled it. Damn, I'll do it one day. The Timefall Farmer, the best damn brew you'll ever drink. Yes, this is the guy that dropped off the beer in my room. Port, it's an English ale that's been made since the 1700s. So, Mr. Legendary Porter, why not put your feet up and enjoy a tall glass of your namesake? Love it. The film director again, you really are unique, aren't you? Maybe it's just my imagination, but ever since I signed a contract, I swear I've seen you at least half a dozen times here or there. Was that your hologram? Wow, fourth wall. I'm assuming he's meaning like other players online, other people playing as Sam. Because you can shout hello to yourself out in the world. Kick back with some Timefall Porter. Thomas sent us it. I've sent you some Timefall Porter, the world's fastest brewed beer for Bridges' fastest runner. Thanks, pal. Hell yeah. Junk dealer, thanks for delivering the prototype. I heard you delivered the samples we provided. Thanks for that. We really appreciate it. I know it was probably weird for you, me and her being separated and all, and I'm not going to just pretend I wasn't stupid about it, but well, anyway, we're grateful. You're welcome. Kydal Artist, we got married! Congratulations. You must have walked more than 1,000 miles by now. Try not to let it get to you, okay? I'm fine. I like being lonely. Just me and my backpack. Anyway, I wanted to get in touch and tell you, we got married. I know. Who gets married in this day and age? But through the chiral network, we got in touch with a priest. Oh, that's so cute. Congratulations. And then the chiral artist's mother says, please look out for them. Wonderful news, my daughter's getting married. But I thought she hated the husband. I guess she's not really bothered. They've probably been wondering, we're not related at all. I've never even been married, let alone had any kids. I took her in 5 or so years back after her parents died. She could barely speak English. Her parents had been Japanese. Okay, at least they have explained why she has that very, very, very strong accent for seemingly no reason. At least they have explained it. But I think someone let me know, apparently that is one of Kojima's friends that is playing the chiral artist, so that explains that as well. But yeah, at least they've sort of provided a bit of backstory to that. Because it was a bit confusing, because I was like, is he her dad? Is he her lover? It was a bit weird. Oh, my daughter's leaving the nest at last. Cute. George Baton, a strange light at the incinerator. This is going to sound crazy. Is it the incinerator? They found a body and it needed to be burned. We were going to go and burn this guy. I don't have dooms or anything, but you don't need special powers to know when a BT's caught your scent. I made it to the incinerator without getting grabbed, and I saw this glowing thing at the incinerator. Way station west of Capital Knot City. That's quite far. Well, I mean, the incinerator in general. That's way back at the start of the game. We'll need to go back there at some point and check out this glowy thingy. Middle Knot City got nuked, that was a while ago, wasn't it? About a year back. Civilians, staff, everyone, everything gone in the blink of an eye. They said it was a terrorist attack. Demons doing their thing. A-holes. Fragile got caught up in the whole mess somehow. We know now that it was because Troy, aka Higgs, snuck her a package and she didn't realise what she was delivering, and it was like this big old bomb. And she just delivered it. And then at a separate occasion, or maybe that same occasion, he gave her the option to run away with it, but through timefall, and that's how she got all wrinkly. Still a bit unsure on that one, whether that was a separate incident, because Sam was going on about her saving, I think that was, they tried to blow up South Knot City. And she saved that one, and then tried again with us to get us to blow it up. But Middle Knot City did get blown up. A desperate plea for a second pizza pie. Wow, Peter, you're taking advantage of my good love of pizza. It is I, Peter Engelert, the world's foremost connoisseur of delicious pizzas. I want you to bring us another one from South Knot City. You want me to bring you a pizza all the way back there at, I forget the name of the cities, at Lake Knot City. From South Knot City. That's quite far away. I have been building roads, but it's still very far away. Heck. Oh no, the poor deers are gonna starve. Oh, do you know what? I can't ignore a plea for pizza. Fragile's name isn't Mud anymore. That's good. Hey, Owen. South Knot City lives to see another day. I remember the bomb that they set off before. People said Fragile was working with them, but they had it backwards. She was trying to save us. Hell yeah. There's another recovery request. Resources scattered by the supercell. They ended up at the bottom of a waterfall northwest of Capital Knot. Check Mammoth's terminal. Excuse me. For the official order. We received eyewitness reports of a small glowing object somewhere in the vicinity. Oh, I wonder if these are USBs. Sorry, what are they? What is it we're collecting? Yes, the USBs that were memory chips. This is maybe little hints of memory chips that I've missed. Oh, and again, are we destroying ourselves? Before you came through, there were people blaming bridges for our troubles left, right, and right. Oh, I read that wrong. Saying it was their fault. What we've got isn't new, though. Well, before the Stranding, folks all over had a hard-on for stockpiling nukes and other WMDs. Frankly, if the world hadn't gone to crap, we'd probably have blown it up by now. It's true. Call it morbid, but part of me just wants us to get it over with already. Whoa! Dark. The junk dealer. Marriage sucks! Ah! You still breaking your back hauling stuff through the wilderness? Ever long for a little company? I know I used to. Not anymore, but between you and me, I can't help thinking life was easier on my own. The freedom to do whatever the heck I wanted. No one pissing and moaning over every tiny thing. Oh! Should have seen the fight we had the other night. Don't ever get married, Sam. Don't listen to the junk dealer. Getting married is the best, right? I've been married a month. 2 months. 2 months tomorrow at time of recording. It's the best. Don't listen. That's funny. Philip North. Oh, hi. Oh, I know this face. I know this face. I do know this guy's face. Is he an actor? He looks like Adam Cleary from What Culture? Anyway, we showed up in the nick of time for the distribution center north of Mountain Knot City. That's right, we saved some scientists. They were ill. It's been a wee while since I've played this. Just about given up on our guy Langdon, but he's on the mend. We brought him some blood, that was it. That was it. An old pro like him shouldn't be letting explosives slip by right under his nose. Awkward, we totally did the same thing. And they're on the chiral network, hell yeah. Right, last emails from Charles Kahn. No way station is an island. To the super honourable Mr. Sam Bridges, it gives me great pleasure to report that the way station patch-up job went off without a hitch. Good to hear, Charles, good to hear. Keep on keeping on. Don't stop till you hit the ocean. Do you know what? We're quite far through. You can see my little blip on the map behind us. Hey, let me show you. Look at that blip. We are quite far through. Up at Mountain Knot. So that's us caught up on our mail. I really should keep up to date with that. I will do that. I will strive to do that in future. This is all the data we've got. So here we've got gameplay tips, which is all just, I mean, stuff that the game sort of teaches you. I mean, that's good if I ever, like, forget something. If mules steal your cargo. God, there's lots of tips. Look at the bar going down. It's going down so slowly. Oh my god. I feel like the need to, like, get rid of all these little exclamation marks, though. I need them all gone. It's like as soon as I get a notification on my phone, I need to, like, open it. Right. Memory chips, that's it. So memory chips and interviews. I'm gonna open memory chips first. So I don't think I've got very many. I've got like 4. We got Luden's figure. I think that's what this is called, a Luden's figure. Frame arms. Plastic robot figurines. Oh, so these are all like memories from like the old world. This is Byakko, white tiger. Beautiful. Beautiful. These are all movie posters because I saw the finished list. Triumph. Heckin' motorbike. Triumph's most powerful, dynamic, and downright exhilarating series of road bikes. Do I get to ride it? This is a soundtrack? Is it a CD? Dawn, Silent Poets. Was used in the 2018 E3 trailer for Death Stranding. Couldn't have told you that. Hideo Kojima himself said that upon hearing their album Dawn, the image of Sam striding through the wilds came immediately to mind. Hell yeah. Oh, nice. You can even tell from the album cover. An unknown man's journal. Access the interviews menu. We need to find more of these memory chips for more interviews. Okay, what have we got? Oh my god, we got loads. Die-hardman, deadman, Hartman, woman. There's so many. I do want to read these all. This is a special, like, what does that say? An asexual world? We'll get to that. We'll start. Okay. This is a special bonus episode, so let's enjoy the lore. So these first few are from die-hardman, the man with the name that made us all sort of laugh a little bit. 2 years ago, Bridges HQ. Bridges' primary objective is to rebuild America. And in order to rebuild, one of our main tasks is to reconnect cities and other settlements by re-establishing a delivery network. Back before the Death Stranding, the comms and delivery networks were what held society together. The whole thing was automated, AI managed, deliveries carried out by drone. The belief was that taking people out of the equation would revolutionize the entire system, but things didn't quite pan out that way. Instead, we started seeing cases of what would eventually be dubbed drone syndrome. It was too much for some folks to accept, leaving everything to machines and nothing for the common man. And indeed, the oxytocin deficiency and hormonal imbalances we confirmed seemed to back up that assessment. Humanity needed to be part of the process. So laws were put in place, and we stepped back into the picture again. And then what happened? All the people put out of work by machines who got called up again convinced themselves society couldn't survive without them, and that brought on a whole new disorder. Delivery dependence syndrome, they called it. When the Death Stranding tore us apart, the delivery problem spiraled even further. It wasn't helped any by the fact that chiral clouds prevented planes and drones from flying, which meant we had to go back to relying completely on human couriers, whether we liked it or not. Eventually, delivering goods became all some lived for. They were obsessed, addicted, consumed by the desire to deliver. Over time, they turned into the mules we know and love today. That makes complete sense. Oh, I like it. Humanity's biggest problem, logistics, 5 years ago. War and famine have become inescapable parts of human life since the rise of our species. And while the fall of America hasn't changed this fundamental truth, it's fair to say that these issues aren't pressing concerns. Can you remember the last time you heard of a prepper dying of starvation, much less someone in a not city? No one's fighting over water or oil or anything else, which isn't to say that people don't occasionally run out of supplies. But that's almost never because of a real shortage. It's usually a problem with logistics. In fact, it was to address such problems that the president created bridges and developed the chiral network. So yeah, no one's that desperate. Everybody's got enough for themselves, which is what's led to the real problem. It's all too easy for people to become isolated from one another and eventually forget that others even exist. People are free to live for themselves, for the moment, without a care for the future. The president understood this better than anyone, and I know just how much it pained her. Human interaction! It's the best! The chiral network experiments between Central and Capital One. 1 year and some months ago, right? Madam President, this will be your new office from today. The relocation of your official residence has also been completed, and the entire medical team has been brought along as well. Rest assured that information regarding this move has been shared on a need-to-know basis only. I understand that, following the loss of New York, you wish to direct the reconstruction efforts from Central Knot City, but in light of recent separatist activity on the eastern seaboard, we no longer consider it safe. We will see to it that the people continue to believe that you are in Central, and Bridges HQ will operate as normal. As per your orders, the delivery research teams and delivery systems management have all been covertly transferred here to Capital Knot City, which is on the east coast. We are doing our utmost to expedite testing of the chiral network link between Capital and Central, while not neglecting your immediate medical needs, of course. This will be our base of operations for the next stage in the fight to rebuild America. Okay. Central Knot City, Capital... Right, Capital Knot City is where the game started. That's where the president was. I don't think we have been to Central Knot City yet. I could be wrong. They all sound so similar. Number 2. So this is a few months later. Madam President, I'm happy to report that the trial run was a success. The connection between Central and Capital was established without incident. No chiral spikes or other irregularities. The Cupid functioned within acceptable parameters as well. There's still a lot of work to do. Chiral holograms, chiral printing, and data recovery have yet to be proven viable. But the confirmation that data can be sent via the chiral network is a huge step forward for the UCA. Our next step will be to use the Cupids to establish connections with the other cities. Preparations for the second expedition are already underway. We're still trying to track Sam down, but as soon as he's back with us, he'll be given his new command. Mules and local porters 2 years ago. When people hear mules, they think junkies driven crazy by a desire to steal supplies we so desperately need to survive. Lucky for us, not all couriers are predisposed to this condition. Not all mules, in fact. They were professionals once, and some still are. Some even complete proper deliveries from time to time. Fragile Express has been known to use them, along with independent porters. For those at risk of losing it, they say the only way to stave off the syndrome is to join a distro organisation with strong leadership and support to help keep you on the straight and narrow. Or you can strike out on your own. But that's no easy path. There's a reason guys who run solo have a reputation for being bulletproof. Like me, I'm Sam, I'm bulletproof. Been shot loads. Likes secrete oxytocin. Oxytocin. It's true. It's scientific. 4 years ago. Oh, this is about to get real, isn't it? Before the Stranding, the whole world was connected. There were networks, social networks we called them, that people used to communicate all the time. They shared all sorts of stuff through them. A random thought, a pretty picture, a home movie, you name it. And if you liked something that someone else had uploaded, you let them know by giving them, well, a like. Sounds weird, I know, but that's the truth. Eventually, someone ran tests on the users of these networks and discovered that receiving a like triggered a rush of oxytocin. The theory was that it stemmed from a sense of being acknowledged. Even though you couldn't see the person you were interacting with, it still felt that they were accepting you, praising you, and who wouldn't like that? But that same process is at the heart of the mule phenomenon. It's believed that an overdependence on the oxytocin rush provided by these kinds of interactions is a factor in porters going rogue. With this in mind, it wouldn't be wrong to characterize mules as oxytocin addicts. In essence, they're social animals at the mercy of validation. Oh, it's kind of true. Right, 3 years ago, the situation after the first Death Stranding incident. There were a series of huge explosions. Well, not so much a series, they were simultaneous worldwide. The global comms infrastructure was shot to hell, but we salvaged what we could and tried to make sense of what had happened. It didn't seem like much at the time, but it was a hell of a lot better than what we have now. Anyway, the government figured the whole thing was a terrorist attack at first. We'd been dealing with a lot of those back then. But it didn't take long to see that this was something else. The craters left by the blasts were bizarre. There was no rubble, no dust even, which led to scientists to rule out meteor strikes. There was trace neutron radiation, alpha rays, but we knew it wasn't nukes either. Some of the particles we detected we'd never even seen before, chiralium, although we didn't know it at the time. The more we studied them, the more our scientists came to the same conclusion. These were the results of annihilation events. It was right about the time that the chiral clouds started to form. And after that, all communication with the outside world went down for good. Okay, so learning a bit more about the actual Death Stranding, which they haven't really spoon-fed to us, so that's cool. So these are all the die-hardman interviews. This one's from Deadman. It's on Bridge Babies. Beep beep. 1 year ago. Look, I'm kind of new here at Bridges, so I don't know if any of this will be useful to you. Still, I'm happy to talk about BBs if that's what you want. They call me Deadman, on account of my familiarity with the dead. Get it? Yes. Yes, we get it. We've always been on good terms, you see. Used to have regular little chats back when I worked in the morgue. Anyway, that's also the reason I work on BB maintenance and research, to learn more about those who are no longer with us. But I digress. Clicked the wrong thing. Fact is, BBs were already being issued to our forces in the field before I joined Bridges. What's more, research into the little guys had already been conducted long, long ago, but no one took the plunge and put what they'd discovered to practical use. Still, what that did mean is that when Bridges wanted us to build our own BBs, most of the work had already been done for us. We just needed to follow the instruction manual, so to speak. Which isn't to say that we have any idea how they work. Not how they can detect BTs, or how they can connect the world to the other side. We still have much to learn about our little friends, but one thing is certain. Their continued study will lead us to greater understanding of the Stranding, and of life and death itself. That much I can assure you. Well, I think that's all about all I have to tell you today. Hopefully I'll have something new to share next time we chew the fat. See you around, I guess. No blue in the inverted rainbow. Oh yeah, the inverted rainbow. We humans are complex multicellular organisms. 60 trillion cells inside each one of us, they say. How many of these cells need to die for us to consider a person dead? Are there any cells in particular which determine whether a person is alive or dead? These questions are academic, of course. The exact point of death can't be calculated using cell counts. On the other hand, no one can deny the existence of degenerative diseases that gradually destroy more and more cells, leaving their victim, effectively, half dead. And what about me? Most of my organs have been harvested from other people. They still work, of course, but could their original owner have been said to be alive? I really don't know. Incidentally, have you ever heard of a fun little experiment they once did with roundworms called C. elegans? C. elegans? These creatures are notable for glowing a bright blue when exposed to UV light, but only when they die. It seems to be a reaction from the anthranylic acid within the organism. And it's known as death fluorescence. Yep, that's right. Blue is very much the colour of death, it seems. Can it therefore really be a coincidence that there is no blue in an inverted rainbow? Timefall strengthens an area's connection to the beach. This has something to do with chiral particles becoming excited, I believe. Ah! Didn't mean to press that. Damn it, I was reading that! Excited particles. I got an excited thumb, apparently. In spaces connected to the beach, electromagnetic waves with a blue wavelength can travel easily through the seam, leaking out onto the beach. Some people think that's where the blue from the inverted rainbow goes. Who knows? The fact that blue has a strong connection to death, though, that much seems pretty inarguable. Okay. Deadman loves his death. Right, these next few are from Hartman. Timefall, 3 years ago. We haven't really met Hartman properly yet. Only spoken to him over the radio, over the comms, over the... What's this thing? What are they called? Yes, those. Timefall was first recorded when the death Stranding occurred. And despite all the years that have passed since then, we are no closer to understanding how or why it accelerates the passage of time for the objects and organisms it touches, or why it immediately turns to ordinary water after having done so. Some researchers have gone as far as to posit this process as stealing time. As for why timefall is observed only in certain places, all that we know for certain is that it's somehow affected by local chiral concentrations. This is merely a hunch, but something in me suspects that the death Stranding may have warped our perception of the passage of time. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, you understand. We humans can conceive of our own deaths, and even the possibility of a place beyond death, yes? We have the capacity to conceptualize the future, an evolutionary advantage which aided our development as a species. Well, what if timefall has given us a new, supercharged version of this essential ability? One that will take us to the next stage of our evolution. Perhaps we wouldn't need to hole ourselves up in the knot cities. Perhaps, in time, the death Stranding will come to be seen as the phenomenon that saved our species. Exciting thoughts, I'm sure you'll agree. I, for one, can't wait to set out on our journey. Who knows what awaits us? Not sure if I agree. Necrosis in the ancient Egyptian view of life and death. The Egyptians believed that we humans were composed of two elements, the Ha and the Ka, the body and the soul. Various texts expound upon their nature in detail, but perhaps it is simplest to conceive of them as follows. The soul is that which joins with the child in the womb and gives life to the body. It is also that which departs the body upon death. Ergo, the body is simply a vessel. Should the soul return to it, it will live again. This is precisely what is observed in near-death experiences. A soul separated, albeit briefly, from the body. The Egyptians believed death not to be an instantaneous state of change of state, but a process by which the soul moves from one realm to another. But this process itself has changed thanks to the death Stranding. In the normal order of things, when death occurs, the soul vacates the body and passes into the seam. From there it transitions to the beach, and only then onto the world of the dead. But after the Stranding, a soul that has already made its journey to the beach may attempt to return to its body in this world. It was hard to believe at first, but the process of necrosis provided proof of this phenomenon that was difficult to deny. This is why it is imperative that we burn the bodies of the dead. The body must be destroyed to sever the link with the soul. Only then will the soul be free to journey to the world beyond. Chiral symmetry. The word chiral comes from the Greek chair, meaning hand. Chair. Compare your left with your right. They seem similar in both size and shape, yes? Now face your palms away from you and place your hand over one another. Their shapes do not overlap exactly, but place your palms together and voila, a match. It is as if one hand is the mirror image of the other. But again, if you were to actually compare the mirror image of your hand to itself, we would see that the two are not identical. This is the essence of chirality, the state in which the mirror image of a shape does not match the original. It has been theorized that BTs are mirror images of ourselves. We were to exist in the same point in time and space, our shapes, as it were, would not overlap neatly into one another. save in reflection. And when our particles meet their opposites, a void out occurs. The new form of communication we have devised utilizes beaches, which are akin to mirrors reflecting this world and the other, hence the term chiral network. Okay, I get it. I think. Chiralium. You would like to know more about chiralium? Well, wouldn't we all? I am happy to present the latest theories, but you must be aware that this is all that they are. Theories. Chiralium, like dark matter, was born along with our universe, and has existed ever since, just not in a dimension that we were able to perceive. Until now. It is the beach that gives us access to that dimension, and with it, knowledge of the chiralium's existence. Not just knowledge of it, of course, we have since observed it coalescing into crystalline form, and recorded measurable physical and mental effects on individuals exposed to it. It has reshaped our understanding of reality, and proven instrumental in the formulation of the multiverse theory of beaches. Chiral matter is not affected by the passage of time. As far as these particles are concerned, none has elapsed since the Big Bang. Little wonder they escaped our notice for so long, until Man and BT first came together in Void Out and left nothing but chiralium in their wake. Many of these claims are yet to be verified, but I believe that this is a fair summary of the scientific community's current consensus on the matter. No pun intended. I shall soon be heading west with the first expedition, and I look forward to hearing more about chiralium and its connections to the beach along the way. Chiral contamination. Chiral contamination is the result of prolonged exposure to chiral radiation, which is emitted by chiralium, a substance discovered at the same time as the beach. Prolonged exposure can significantly impact physical and mental health. The effects are not dissimilar from those observed in individuals exposed to extremely high levels of stress, levels which can be fatal even. Such traumatic experiences can alter hormonal secretions, impair immune response, contribute to heart failure, and induce strokes. The most common symptom of chiral contamination is poor sleep quality, due to vivid nightmares. If left unchecked, however, it can quickly progress to a more advanced stage in which the aforementioned issues may be observed. The potential impact on an individual's mental health cannot be understated. The resulting hormonal imbalances frequently lead to heightened destructive impulses towards the self and others. Those dominated by such urges are named homodemons, the mad ones. In the case of some porters, such as mules, impaired memory and judgment has led them to develop an irrational obsession with their profession, hence the Homo Gestalt moniker. Gestalt? I don't know, that looks German. While it should be feasible and preferable for most individuals to avoid chiral contamination at all costs, there are those with a demonstrated resistance who need not be so cautious. I speak, of course, of doom sufferers. Chiral contamination can be alleviated using similar methods to those used to alleviate stress, increasing oxytocin secretion through contact with other people, administering smart drugs, and so forth. In recent years, however, a hormone dubbed lyxin, known to mitigate the effects of chiral contamination while also restoring basic physical and mental acuity, I think that's how that's pronounced, has attracted a great deal of attention from the scientific community. Unlike oxytocin, lyxin cannot be administered externally. It is secreted within the body, but only in response to external stimuli. It is said to be the hormone principally responsible for the positive feelings that occur when one achieves a goal, enjoys success, receives praise or gratitude, or any other form of like from a fellow human being. The discovery of beaches and the concept of death. With the discovery of the beach, the fundamental truth of death was appended. I doubt you will find many who would deny this. Alas, we can say little with confidence in any objective or scientific capacity, for our understanding of this new realm remains in its infancy and is ever evolving, much like our understanding of the universe as a whole. Perhaps the closest thing we have to a working explanation of the beach relates to the conception of a multiverse, but I digress. The beach is arguably both a concept and a reality. A discrete beach is influenced by the mind of the associated individual, and therefore linked to them irrevocably. This is why we have so energetically pursued the physiological, physio-analytical, and neuroscientific angles when attempting to create a unified theory of the death stranding, the beach, and related phenomena. There was a fad a while back in which subjects underwent counselling in order to learn more about their beaches, and in doing so gain a greater understanding of the nature of death. Doom sufferers in particular provided excellent opportunities for study. An interesting theoretical question arose during that period. If a person's beach was a product of their consciousness, might animals have beaches as well? A conundrum on the surface perhaps, but one quickly resolved. Only human corpses undergo necrosis and become BTs, which proves somewhat conclusively that only a human can possess a beach. And yet this begs another question. If all that is required is consciousness, akin to that of a human, could an AI have a beach? An android? I, for one, do not believe so. Why? Because the function of our beaches is to connect the worlds of the living and the dead. If an entity was never born, has not truly lived, and will never know death, surely it cannot have a beach. I'm enjoying this. I'm actually learning like loads about the world and stuff. I like it. The Evo Devo unit. Evo Devo. Evo Devo. It seems a rather significant breakthrough has been achieved back at headquarters. They'd successfully integrated an Evo Devo unit into a chiral printer. In case you're not familiar with the term, Evo Devo refers to an evolutionary developmental biology. Your genes, mouse genes, dinosaur genes, the genes of every living being are virtually identical, and yet we develop into such radically different organisms. Thus, a question arises: why did such disparate life arise from the self-same building blocks? Evo Devo was the field of study that sought to solve that mystery, to lay bare the secrets of evolution. Before the advent of Evo Devo, it was thought that in order to reconstruct a dinosaur, we would require a sample of its DNA. However, thanks to this technology's ability to extrapolate from existing data, we could, with the correct stimulus, grow a dinosaur from the DNA of any living organism. We could, in essence, recreate the process by which dinosaurs evolved from primeval life forms. An Evo Devo unit applies these same principles to the problem of information and object reconstruction. With the help of the chiral network, we may take incomplete data, and indeed incomplete objects, and reproduce their complete forms. This data can then be fed into a chiral printer, et voila! Partial data yields finished product. The tech isn't viable for everyday use just yet, but when it is, it will be of incalculable benefit to our research and bring our reconstruction efforts forward by a matter of decades. Higgs particles. Higgs Monaghan? Yes, why yes, I know the name, the former leader of a private courier organisation, as I recall, which serviced a large region in the West, and was instrumental in providing continued support to the people living there. But as we were so far apart, bridges struggled to maintain any measure of influence over their operations. It probably didn't help that the separatist movement has always enjoyed strong support in that territory. In the wake of growing violence by the demons, we were shocked to learn that Higgs himself was at their head. What to make of this strange development? Why on earth would a man who once commanded a group devoted to American Reconstructionism suddenly pledge himself to the cause of American destruction? His name only compounds the insult. Have you heard of the Higgs particle, also known as the God particle? It is associated with the Higgs field, that which gives all other particles their mass. Without it, atoms would fly apart, and matter would not exist as we know it. In other words, its very presence prevents mindless destruction. Cosmic irony indeed. Chiral clouds and timefall. Why do chiral clouds form? Why does timefall occur? And why does it herald the manifestation of BTs? These are questions we all struggle to answer. As we know now, BTs are beings formed of something akin to antimatter. Their first appearance coincided with the death stranding. Prior to that point, it is believed that there was very little in the way of antimatter present in our world at all. But we've since learned that this was far from the case, or even before the stranding, Far even before the Stranding, antimatter was all around us. I discovered a scientific paper on the subject titled On Antimatter and Clouds. According to the paper, the gamma radiation generated by lightning strikes can trigger the formation of positrons. And indeed, particles of antimatter can be detected inside regular rain clouds. The mechanism by which they are formed is not fully understood, but the mere existence of this phenomenon is enough to suggest something intriguing. Chiral clouds contain chiralium, yes? Well, what would happen if gamma radiation were to act upon them in the same way as it does in regular clouds? Could chiralium excited by gamma radiation exacerbate minute distortions in space-time, somehow loosening the seams that connect us to our beaches? And if so, when the excited chiralium mixes within timefall and transcends to the ground below, could the entire region beneath the clouds become much more strongly connected with the beach as a result? This could well explain why BTs appear in areas prone to timefall. Furthermore, if the antimatter we previously thought did not even exist in any measurable quantity on Earth were in fact present in such commonplace phenomena as the very clouds above us, would this not lend credence to the theory that BTs, beaches, the world of the dead, all of these things may have existed long before the Stranding? Too much of a theoretical leap? Perhaps. I do not deny our world changed, drastically and irrevocably. Nevertheless, could it not be that the Death Stranding was merely the clap of thunder that brought this great change to our attention, and not the change itself? Does the name Sigmund Freud mean anything to you? He was a famous psychologist, the most famous of them all, perhaps, but I digress. Freud formulated one of his most famous theories after observing his grandson playing with a spool of thread. The boy would throw the spool under the bed, thus ensuring that he could not see it anymore. He would then unwind the thread in his hand, gradually drawing the spool back towards him until it became visible again. He repeated this process several times. It was apparently a game he played whenever his mother was elsewhere. Freud proposed that the process of concealing and rediscovering the spool was a coping mechanism, a way in which the boy could put his mind at ease. You see, the boy was in control of the spool. He could make it disappear and reappear at will. This helped him to comprehend his mother's absence not as something sudden or irrational, but as something controlled, and therefore not a cause for concern. A novelist named Franz Kafka later coined a term for this spool of thread, Odradek. However, he conceived it as an object capable of speech and autonomous movement, a mysterious being neither dead nor alive. The Odradeks we use are perhaps not so different. These interfaces through which we experience our BB's perception of their surroundings are not unlike spools of thread, a connection between our world and the other side, the living and the dead, human and BB. Near-death experience. Until relatively recently, death could only be studied from the perspective of an external observer, as the experience of one's own death could not be communicated to another. A collaborative investigation of the phenomenon was fundamentally impossible, but through the examination of subjects in near-death states and the cataloguing of their experiences, we have at last been able to bring the scientific method to bear on this most final of frontiers. Even those in a state of so-called brain death exhibit signs of consciousness. What could this possibly mean? Moreover, why do some on the brink of death report out-of-body experiences? Furthermore, why do so many of those who have such experiences describe the same sensations of being beckoned towards a distant light? Many had argued that these commonalities were evidence of an objective reality, of a place beyond life. If nothing else, they at least suggested that death was not an instantaneous change of states, but a process. The beach has since proven much of this beyond a doubt, and the dead rising again as BTs through necrosis demonstrates this process in action. The place beyond life is no longer a theoretical possibility. Its existence must be taken as incontrovertible fact. I'm learning a lot of words here. BTs are reaching out to us. 2.4 million years ago, Homo habilis started to craft stone tools. Hands are so very important, don't you think? Our other sensory organs passively interpret data. Our eyes light, our ears sound, our noses smell, our mouths taste. But hands are different. To touch requires conscious action, to grasp more so. To connect that which is in our left hand with that which is in our right, still more. And the handprints we see when BTs seek out humans? Why, I'd say that's just evidence of our otherworldly friends yearning to forge a connection. They're reaching out to us, attempting to bridge the gap between realms of the dead and of the living. These next ones are from Mama, the chiral network. So the core infrastructure is complete. The basic Cupid ready chiral network setup is good to go. Now all we have to do is connect Central Knot City to the capital and prove that it actually works. Sadly, I won't be here to see it. I've been assigned to the expedition team's second group, so I'll be heading west along with the others. But the people in charge here are the best of the best. They'll have the network operational inside of 3 years, just as planned. I'm sure of it. And while they're seeing to that, we'll be visiting towns and whatnot across the country and putting the facilities in place for when things are finally up and running. Amelie and the others in the lead group will be forging the connections and laying the groundwork to make sure everything goes to plan. Afterwards, we'll just need to link it all up with the operational Cupids, and that should be that. It's kind of like the Apollo missions back in the day. They used a 3-stage rocket to get to the moon, right? Well, we're using a 3-stage process to do something almost as revolutionary. In a way, the chiral network makes use of the beach to allow us to travel through time. See, sending large amounts of data takes large amounts of time, as you'd expect. But the thing about beaches is, well, time doesn't pass the same way in them as it does out here. Might not even pass at all. Think about how the light from the stars in the sky we see was produced thousands and thousands of years ago. Routing data through the beach is like jumping to a point earlier in that journey, thereby cutting it shorter. Much shorter. Just imagine massive amounts of data transferred almost instantaneously. That's what we're trying to achieve with the chiral network, in a nutshell. In theory, the network allows us to reconstruct old data that would otherwise be lost, and to do so with fragmented resources. Using what's known as Evo-Devo analysis, we could take the finger bone of a dinosaur, say, and extrapolate from that not only the dinosaur's form, but its composition. Internal, external, even its thought process to a degree. Anything is possible with chiral computing. In other words, we won't just be able to reunite a nation, we'll be able to reclaim everything we lost in the Death Stranding. More even. Theoretically, we could go back as far as the birth of the planet and beyond. And thanks to the beach, we'll be able to compile all that data in one place and reduce the processing time for even the most complex analysis to effectively 0. Drones and the Singularity. Yep, the bot is good to go. We're putting it through some field tests within the network service area. Should have the results before long. Delivery efficiency within a given region is expected to improve following a successful Cupid connection as well. No, that won't be a problem. The bot's just a cargo carrier. Human input is required to accept orders and set coordinates. Drone syndrome shouldn't be a factor. And the Singularity? Not a chance. Well, think about it. AI doesn't die. It might get upgraded or replaced, but that's not at all comparable to death. So it has no reason to fear it, you see. The concept is completely foreign, incomprehensible. Death comes to all living things, but only humans have the capacity to understand the implications, to imagine what it means to no longer exist. That's one limitation AI won't ever overcome. That's the reason it won't ever surpass human intelligence. This one's from Fragile. Preppers. When I was a little girl, my father told me that preppers were people who decided long ago that they couldn't trust their nation to be there for them anymore. That the bonds between us had grown weak long before the Death Stranding. We once had a network spanning the whole wide world that could send items from anywhere to anywhere and connect anyone with anything. But still we were isolated, still we were alone. Some liked it that way, and even wanted more. They wanted walls along their borders, wanted to turn away refugees and outsiders. Some even wanted new nations all their own. They began to see the state as an enemy of their freedom, not a protector of it. The ones most far gone, they didn't trust the country to defend them even if something went really wrong. War, terrorism, natural disaster, you name it. So they built shelters and stocked full of supplies in preparation for the worst. And then the worst happened, the death stranding. America ceased to exist, and their shelters became their homes, where they would live and they would die. But while they prepared, they hadn't prepared to live there forever, which is why they wound up relying on us couriers so heavily. My father and I didn't want to go back to the old America. We didn't want a country that pushed people apart. We wanted one that brought them together, that allowed them to support one another. And that is what we tried to work towards. Bridges staff. 2 years ago, distribution centre west of capital Knot City. It's been about a year now since we came here with the rear guard. The first folks through did us the favour of setting up the chiral relay and patching things up before we arrived. So we're doing alright. Not so sure about everyone else though. Folks back home sound kind of freaked out. We don't know what's going on in Central or Capital, let alone how Amelie and the others who kept heading west are going. But something didn't feel right. What's more, a lot of the guys have developed some kind of agoraphobia. Like the thought alone of going outside scares the butts out of them. See, the distro centres and way stations around these parts here aren't like the ones back east. They're much more isolated, out in the middle of nowhere. Can't help but feel cut off from the world. And there's not a lot of staff on hand either, which means you often have to do the work of 2 guys, which can make it that much lonelier too. And then you factor in the terrorism rumours. Also, is it just me, or does it feel like there's more mules out there these days? Don't get me wrong, I know they're not out to get us. All they want is our cargo, right? Well, that doesn't change the fact that they're not making our work any easier. Especially since a lot of these guys used to be first-rate porters, and could run rings around us if they hadn't, you know. Still, for now, the network systems are up and running, and we're just holding out for the day when the second expedition comes through with a working Cupid. Till then, we'll keep things chugging along. That much we can do. For Bridges and country. Am I right? 2 years ago. Better late than never, right? Timefall and power failures. I volunteered to join Bridges, signed up with my brother, Victor. This is Igor! He died at the start. See, we both remembered when America was still America. When we still had planes and satellites, when we were still connected to everyone and everything. The world was different. Bigger, and we wanted it back. He was chosen for the first expedition and hit the road damn near straight away. Me, I got told to hang back here in Central, which was okay, I guess. Corpse disposal means you're taking a fair share of timefall in the line of duty. You get a sense for it after a while, a sixth sense for when the clouds are about to open up. Of course, the clouds themselves are a big tell, and inverse rainbows a guarantee you're in for some heck. But there are smaller signs too. Changes in the air, a smell on the wind. When it hits, you've got power outages to deal with. Far as I understand it, which ain't all that far, it's to do with high concentrations of chiralium causing electromagnetic interference, or something, which also interacts with water and kicks up clouds of ozone, which then makes the temperature drop like a rock. Anyway, I may be used to timefall, but that doesn't mean I'm immune to it. Believe me, I'm younger than I look. My big bro would take a lot of pleasure in telling you that if he could see me now. The lake at Ground Zero. When I first laid eyes on the lake here at Ground Zero, I was blown away by the sheer size of it. I never imagined anything could be so huge. This was just after the Death Stranding, and not many people had seen the craters up close yet. Back when I was still living with my parents and my brother on the East Coast, an explosion like nothing the world had ever seen before tore a gaping hole in the heart of America. There were all kinds of rumours floating around at the time, that it was a meteor, that it was a nuke dropped by another country. I was just a kid, but even I could tell the adults didn't have a clue, so you can imagine how I felt. And then we found out there had been other explosions, not just here in America, but the world over. By the time we learned that they were void outs and what void outs were, the country was pretty much done. But hey, that was then, and this is now, and things are looking up. I just got told my kid brother's still alive. Word is he's heading up a corpse disposal team in capital Knot City. Handled his stuff well enough to get picked for the second expedition. 3 more years and he'll be out here with me. Can't wait to see him again. Aww. Prepper interview. The engineer. My horizons ain't exactly broad. That said, I'm not completely cut off from the outside world. I knew what Bridges was, and that they were trying to rebuild America. But when you're living down here, it's hard to see how that's got anything to do with you and yourself. Am I right? My folks holed up in this shelter after the death Stranding. Had a kid and raised him in their slice of paradise. And together we lived off whatever Fragile Express was kind enough to bring our way. They told me tales about the good old days, but I've never had much of an imagination. Couldn't see how a country long gone was any concern of me and mine. Far as I figured, if Fragile Express was happy to keep bringing us stuff, we didn't need anybody else, and we certainly didn't need America, whatever that even was. But then one day I was looking at a part for this machine that my dad put together. He was an engineer too. And I noticed something said, "Made in the USA," right there in tiny print. Got me to thinking that America might not exist anymore, but the stuff Americans built is still around, making our lives a little bit easier even now. You could say that the old country lives on in this works, kind of like how my folks live on in me. They, died a while back. Anyway, if they were American, I guess that makes me American too, and maybe this shelter a part of it all. Once I realised that, I started pouring my heart into building stuff to help you guys put the country back together. Terrorists posing as Fragile Express couriers. The terrorists have been at it again. The terrorists have been at it again lately. You heard, right? About how they've been sneaking in and out of cities disguised as Fragile Express couriers? Higgs, man! We'll have another disaster on our hands at this rate. But it's not like we can just cut them out. We need Fragile's people to keep on doing what they are doing. We rely on those guys a lot, though maybe we shouldn't. I heard they're transporting weapons now. Why they'd be so stupid I can't imagine. Spreading stuff around that kills in a world where the dead are ticking BT bombs? Sure, terrorists are a threat and mules a royal pain in the ass, but what genius figured escalation was the way to go when we all know where it leads? We need weapons, no, tools that can take down the bad guys without killing them. And we need the hardware in circulation gone yesterday. We can't keep folks from dying in accidents or getting sick. We can't keep them dying, period. But the deaths we can put off, we ought to. Violence isn't just ugly, it's damn near suicidal in this day and age. Which is why I'm looking to make a bunch of less than lethal gear in the hopes that it'll prevent a few idiots from getting themselves and others killed. The Timefall Farmers. Me? I used to be an ecologist. Emily thought highly of me and my wife's research into timefall's effect on plant life. She was the one who suggested it could be used to boost agricultural production. See, timefalls radically altered the ecosystem of the entire continent. Obvious, I know, just as it's obvious that we're powerless to stop it. So we had the idea of trying to use it to our advantage instead. Make the environment better, not worse. Easier said than done though. Take void-out craters for example. Local chiral density is generally higher in their vicinity, which correlates with increased timefall. With all that exposure, you'd think that they'd turn lush and green again before you know it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite pan out that way. Nothing grows in any of them. Might be the timefall's done something to the soil, but the truth is, I don't have a clue, which was one of the reasons why me and the missus were conducting our research. Gotta say, for the record, that it hadn't crossed our minds that timefall could be used to help grow food. That idea was all Amelie, so credit where it's due. The junk dealer. Incredible, isn't it? This hourglass? See how the sand flows upwards? Got chiral particles in it, that's why it moves like that. And look at the shape of the glass. So elegant, so delicate. Just like the girl who made it. Hard to believe it's even of this world. But it was made by human hands, all right. Crazy, isn't it? No wonder everyone in South Knot City knows her work. You can imagine how I felt when she gave it to me. I guess you could say it was a thank you present. She'd asked me to fix something for her, and this is what I got written in return. You know, I'd done jobs for all kinds over the years, but none of my other customers ever did anything like this for me. Most will just toss you a couple of likes, and that's the end of it. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a like or two, it's just... this was different. The moment she gave me this hourglass, I knew I wanted to be with her. Never happened, though. Ain't cut out for love and relationships. Don't have what it takes. Other people kind of scare me, to be honest. Still, even if we can't be together, at least I'll have this hourglass. Well, now you're together and you're married and you're miserable. Okay, now we just have some journals here. An unknown man's journal. Today I made a delivery to a shelter near Middle Knot City. It was my longest trip to date, a new personal best. Back when I was starting out, people tried to warn me off the life, saying it was dangerous for prepper young'uns to make runs and that no one should ever really trust me. What was I supposed to do? Kids without parents need to eat too, and it's not like I had any skills. 2 arms, 2 legs, whole lot of grit. That's all I had to offer. Worked out okay so far. I bring people what they need, and in return, they do right by me. The more deliveries I make, the more orders I get. Never a porter around when you need one. So as long as you don't heck up too badly, someone ought to throw you a bone. Helps that I've got a 6th sense for BTs too. Pretty rare that. It's probably one of the reasons why I get so much work. Sometimes people praise me, tell me I'm doing society a service by helping a fellow man. Can't say that factors into it. I'd sooner keep to myself if I could. But I've got to survive somehow, and I sure as hell ain't gonna manage by myself. So, unknown man, writing year unknown. This could be Sam. It could be Higgs. It could be another character. Who knows? Another prepper's kicked the bucket. I went to deliver his medicine as usual this morning, but I guess I was pretty damn late. Poor guy wasn't just dead, but on the verge of going necro. Wasn't no time to take him to an incinerator, so I had to dump him in nearby BT territory. Better than leaving him to pop, especially since my own shelter is close by. Gotta look out for number 1. When I dumped him, though, just before he popped, it was like I could feel the BTs reacting to the corpse. Saw the beach, too. Strangest thing, but I'd felt it before. When I first disposed of someone. The sensation was stronger this time, though, no doubt about it. Don't know if this means I've got dooms, but I'm starting to think there's something special about me. A delivery outfit out west heard tell of my BT sensing abilities and has expressed an interest in bringing me on board. Seems they operate outside Bridge's sphere of influence, and they want to leverage my experience and know-how to expand their operation. Could be interesting. It's funny, I started making runs out of necessity, to stay alive, but that's all changed. I'm an altruist now. I live to help other people. Preppers around these parts rely on me. Hell, they wouldn't last 5 minutes without me. What would my daddy say if he could see me now, He taught me man's his own keeper, but here I am, part of a community, working with other people, bringing the world together. Daddy always told me that the wide, wide world was dangerous, that we had to stay in our shelter, spend our whole life there, die there. Well, heck that. Community is what it's all about. The more that I'm reading this, the more I'm thinking that it is Higgs. Buddy of mine died today. He was out in the mountains on a delivery, and it was so goddamn foggy. I guess he lost sight of the trail. He called me, asking for help, and then the line went dead. I saw the void out from here. Nearly blinded me. Guess he wandered into BT territory. There's not many of us porters left these days. Not many you could trust to get the job done anyway. Folks quitting or dying, going mule. Attrition's a bitch. If we're to keep on, we're going to need better equipment, and someone else who can track BTs. I can still manage sometimes, but my power's getting weaker. I can feel it. Just wish I knew what to do. Because at this rate, I'm hecked. We all are. Ha and Ka, body and soul. The two become separated, you die. In this world, at least. That death isn't the end, though. So long as your soul's got a body to come back to, you can be reborn. Resuscitated, anyway. That's why people built coffins and sarcophagi, to preserve the body so the soul had a home it could return to. I learned all this and more from an old book I found, The Wisdom of the Egyptians, chock full of interesting tidbits about death and how to overcome it, like the golden death masks of the pharaohs, the ones decorated using magical adornments as an indication of the wearer's prestige and power. Tell you what, if we've learned anything from the beach, it's that the Egyptians had it all figured out. That's why I've decided to give myself a mask. Not a death mask, though, but one for living, for ruling. Today is the last day anyone sees my face. I don't need it anymore. Definitely Higgs. Definitely Higgs. Oh, I love him so much. A Bridges way station out west just got taken out by terrorists. Use a void out to do it. They dumped a corpse nearby and let it go necro, dropping BTs right in people's laps. Where it is, Demons heard that Bridges was sending an expeditionary force out west to facilitate the reconstruction of America or some such. Guess they didn't take kindly to that. Terrorists, separatists, isolationists, all these folks claim America is coming for their freedom. That the old guard wants them to put in chains. make the individual subservient to the collective. They ask what it's all for in a post-Stranding world, when today's triumph is tomorrow's crater. Daddy used to spout the same tired lines, said America never did nothing for nobody. That's why we took to living in a shelter. Better down in a hole than out there under their thumb. Yeah, he was a real saint, my daddy. Tried to run a few times, but he'd just drag me back inside, kicking and screaming, where he'd put those heavy hands of his to work and remind me what would happen if I disrespected his authority. But that's love, isn't it? His way of looking after an orphan child he raised as his own. He was only trying to protect me from all the evils of the outside world. I owe him my life, and my powers too. First time I ever sensed a BT was when I held him, moments before he went necro. Just like when I dumped that prepper's body. My daddy showed me that corpses are precious, powerful things. They're so much more than bombs. Terrorists ought to treat them with proper respect. I've had us team up with a bunch of porters who service the central part of the country. Had to be done. The writing was on the wall for my crew otherwise. And guess what? Their leaders got dooms. I've got a feeling we're going to be good friends. Demons and terrorists have been getting more aggressive ever since the Bridges expedition team set out. As if BTs and mules weren't enough, now we've got to keep our eyes peeled for those a-holes when we're making runs. All the more reason we've got to come together, get organised. Me and my new partner, we've been talking about consolidating our operations so we can cover the whole continent. If we do, I suppose that'd make us like the UCA in some respects. Different structure and methods, but similar ideology. A deep and abiding belief of the importance of community. But the devil's in the details, isn't it? Rules, structures, can't just let people make decisions for themselves. And therein lies the risk. Can't have us repeating the sins of the past within another USA. And demons, well, they ain't about to think for themselves. At the end of the day, a community needs a strong leader. And the God's honest truth is that I'm the only one cut out for it. The rumours I'd heard about my new partner's powers didn't do her justice. I knew she had dooms, but she's on a whole other level. I tell you, I've never seen anything like it. Not only can she perceive BTs, but she can actually use the beach. Compared to hers, my powers are nothing. Parlour tricks courtesy of a few corpses. But it doesn't matter, not so long as I've got her. Before we met, I was bound by the limitations of my abilities. I was a blind man groping for the shadows of a secret realm. But now, because of her, I can actually go to the beach. The beach! With her by my side, I can reshape this world. Not into what it was with the old USA, not like what Bridges wants. Something new, something everlasting, right here and now. A world where we are free to do whatever we goddamn please. Talking, of course, of Fragile. My partner's powers are extraordinary, sure. But deep down I know the two of us alone don't have what it takes to bring true, lasting freedom to the people. Everything we've done, that we continue to do, no matter how much it may seem to bring people together, it's still a far cry from the way it should be. Timefall, BTs, chiral clouds, all this and more serves to cut us off from the rest of creation. And I have to say, I don't think that's ever going to change. Even people like me and my partner, we have our limits. But now I've met someone who has none, someone who could save the world from this madness. Make it whole again. Put our pieces back together. Oh, is this Cliff? Could this be Cliff? I'm waiting for Cliff to do something mental. And last, an asexual world. Records suggest that the widespread aversion towards physical contact and intimacy was a phenomenon that had been observed even before the Death Stranding. One contemporary report, for example, details the increasing popularity of the sexless lifestyle among young people. A growing percentage of the younger cohort were self-identifying as asexual, claiming to be incapable of feeling desire or attraction. Accordingly, such individuals were less likely to have children or engage in sexual activity. It should be noted, however, that many other unique sexual identities were being recognised during this period, such as demisexuals who are incapable of sexual attraction without an emotional connection, and panromantics who profess an attraction unrestricted by sex or gender, albeit one not necessarily sexual in nature. One theory posits that the Stranding accelerated the proliferation of these sexualities. In a terrifying new world in which BTs roam and annihilation is an everyday occurrence, people have grown reticent to form emotional connections with others. Although there has been no measurable decrease in human fertility, the birth rate has nevertheless dropped dramatically. Incidents of sexual harassment and assault have also been a sharp
seen a sharp decrease, which seems to suggest that sex could not be further from our minds, for better or for worse. I must preempt myself by admitting that I do not have any empirical data with which to support the following claim. That said, it is my contention that, based on the aforementioned observations and others, the vast majority of the population could be categorised as asexual. So this in particular is something we kind of predicted due to the number of deliveries that we make that are literally like delivering sperm and eggs, like, because artificial insemination must be the main method of reproduction in this world, because people just don't want to do it anymore. So that was our little exploration into the data, into the interviews, and I hope you enjoyed that. It was something a little different. My voice is hecked. I don't remember the last time I spoke so intensely for so long, so I hope you did enjoy. We'll be doing another one of these later on in my playthrough once we've unlocked a few more things. I feel like concentrating it into one episode means that people who aren't bothered don't get the playthrough mixed up, and then people who are bothered get a nice big chunk to listen to. I had a really nice time. I hope you guys did too, and I'll see you for more playthrough in the next one.